Some characteristics of human language. You must have heard a lot of stories in which you find that animal or creatures talk. You also must have watched certain cartoon films in which you've seen that, you've heard that animal or other creatures talk. But can they really talk? That is the question. Creatures are capable of communicating, obviously, with other creatures, but can they communicate the way human beings communicate? That is the question. So, is it possible that a creature could learn to communicate with humans using language? We have not yet seen that any creature can communicate with human beings the way human beings communicate with each other. Or does human language have properties that are quite unique and that is unlearnable by other creatures? So far as we know that these qualities or these properties are not found among animals or creatures. If we try to make a distinction between communicative signals and unintentionally informative signals, we find that they are two different things. For example, if you meet a person and you find that the person has caught cold because the person sneezed. Similarly, if you find a person and the person is sitting in a sitting posture and he's shifting his feet, you think that the person is in some uneasy state. Similarly, if you find some person using two-color socks, you find that the person is disorganized. Similarly, if you meet a person and the person has a very strange accent, you find that he is not from your area or a certain area. All these signals that you have noted are given by the person unintentionally. Whereas when that person says that I'm one of the applicants for the post of brain surgeon, you know that that person is intentionally communicating. However, if we look at a black bird, so we see that the black feather of the birds or the way the bird is sitting on the tree or the way the bird is looking down on the ground are quite unintentional. The bird is not giving any message. However, the moment it squawks after seeing a cat on the ground, it seems that the bird is now communicating intentionally. So we find distinction between the two types of communicative signals and unintentionally informative signals. When we talk about distinction between human language and animal communication, we are considering both in terms of their potential as a means of intentional communication. So as we just saw, that when the person said that he is for one of the candidates for such and such position, we knew that the person was intentionally communicating. And similarly, when the bird was sitting with the certain color of feathers, we knew that it was not making any communicative signals or intentional signals. So, properties of human language. We find that human beings have certain properties which make them different from other creatures. So, communication as the primary function of human language is not a distinguishing feature. As we said that the bird, when after seeing the cat made a vocal signal, it means that the bird was also communicating. But this communication was very different from the way human beings communicate, because the properties of both the creatures and the humans are different from each other. All creatures communicate in some way. Obviously, they communicate with with other members of their species. For the property of reflexiveness, For example, we know that the animals or the creatures do not have this ability to review their language or what they have said to say something about what they say, or they do not seem to be reflecting on the way they communicate. For example, we cannot find a dog offering advice to another dog on lowering the voice to show more, to become more menacing. Whereas we do know that human being can review, they can talk about the message, they can talk about the talking, or they can talk about their messages. Whereas this property is not found among animals. We cannot say that they bark about barking, whereas human beings can talk about talking. So this property of human beings is very unique, and this is known as reflexiveness or reviewing or reflexing property of human beings. So beside this property, we have other 5 properties as well, like displacement, arbitrariness, productivity, cultural transmission, and duality.